with me. I'm stuck with me too. Hard work pays off in the future, and laziness pays off right now. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I heard that WD-40 is great for keeping the mice out of the garage. I tried it. Didn't work for me. But they did stop squeaking. Speaking of mice, if the plural of mouse is mice, and the plural of louse is lice, what does it really mean when my spouse tells me he wants to spice things up? Well, I went to the doctor, told him every night I have a dream of mice playing football. What can you do for me, Doc? He told me to take a couple pills tonight. I asked him if it'd be okay if I took them tomorrow night, 'cause tonight they've got the playoffs. The Super Bowl of mice, Mises to pieces and in between. In America, they call dogs canines. In China, that's K and a 9. In China, dogs are E10, E10. All dogs go to heaven, you know, and cats go to purgatory. So this advert in the newspaper. Good home wanted for small terrier that tends to bark a lot. And it gave a phone number and said, let me know if you're interested. I'll climb over my neighbor's fence and fetch that terrier for you. Oh, back in the day I had this dog and I couldn't take it to the dog park anymore because the ducks kept biting him. Well, that's what I got for getting a purebred. You ever wonder how Colombia is not the superpower of the world? I mean, they produce cocoa leaves and coffee and cocaine. I landed a part in a movie about a drug dealer. I only have one line. Sleep is my drug. My bed is my dealer. My alarm clock is the police. I got my tender heart setting on rounding the horn. One hand on the tiller, a weathered vessel. Hear that foghorn in the distance. Shackled off in the isolation and hoisting the halyards and pulling the lines and filling the sheets. Those are like things you have on the bedspread sheets. Not the thing you're thinking in your mind. They're like sails, you know, sheets. SHEETS. And with a steady breeze and I've got it furlowed out, and compass rose are holding tight, and I'm promenading the decks and crying out, utterances unspoken. This excursion across the pond, armchair sailors, through tsunamis while waving to distant shores, heave up a pennant high on the stanchion, in unison to all. I'll tell you about the ship, that's spelled S-H-I-P, hauling a cargo of red paint, collided with a ship carrying blue paint. The sailors were marooned. The sailors were marooned. On to the next. Reminds me of the days in kindergarten, tasting paint. Oh, in 5th grade it was rubber cement, and stopping at the candy store and filling my pockets galore. By junior high, I'd have graduated to Tester's cement. Oh man, that'd put you in a tizzy. Oh, those balsa wood airplanes and plastic cars, gluing them together and and going to the service station before they crack that gasoline so far. Oh, just by the way, an aside, most of the time when you go to a service station, there'll be 3 grades, you know. There'll be the cheap stuff, the regular, and that's low in octane, and there'll be the middle grade, a little more octane, and then there'll be the high test. Big punch for your money. And some of the service stations on the high test, they don't put any of that alcohol, like corn stuff coming from Iowa in it. I guess they call it ethanol. I wouldn't drink it. Probably make me go blind. Anyway, they're blended pumps. I was speaking to the man the other day how these pumps work, and he was saying they're blended pumps, a lot of the pumps today. And so if the regular has 10% alcohol, and the next grade up is supposed to have 10% alcohol, the next grade up is a blend between the high test and the low test. And if the high test doesn't have any alcohol in that particular type service station, not all of that way, some of the high test has 10% corn, and then it would be a blend, and it would only be 5% in the middle grade. Yeah, well, anyway, that's the way it works. He also told me if you were looking for some pure gasoline for your lawnmowers and stuff, he said, turn the pump on that high test there, the stuff that says no ethanol in it, no corn, and pump about a quart or so into your car first, because your car don't care. There's about a quart in the hose of the stuff that's left over from the last guy that pumped it. And then he said after that you can just fill up your gas can and you have pure gas. Them little engines, they love pure gasoline. But I ain't telling you what to do, because it's just all kindergarten to me, you know. You ever figure you've been zamboozled advertising K Street and Madison Avenue? Well, I'm turning back the clock before I understood any of that kind of stuff. I used to love to go with Daddy down to the auto parts store and look at all the neat stuff they had. And that's when I learned to drive, sitting on Daddy's lap. He'd let me handle the wheel, and before too long, he'd let me get right behind the wheel. I'd put my left foot on the brake, pull up that handle on the brake, emergency brake. It used to be on the left-hand side. It'd go click up like that. And then I'd take my right foot and take the toe of it and step it on that manual starter and pull out the choke, and she'd go. I press in the clutch and throw in first gear, and off we'd go, grasping hard on that steering wheel with a big chrome horn rim and suicide knob. Daddy taught me how to drive, sitting behind the wheel of that pickup truck. Well, I remember one time I was way out west there. I think it was Wyoming, if I remember correctly, if I recollect. And there was a farmer there. He had a caravan of tractors and cars and hay wagons, and they were hauling hay. And the first truck to come along, it was a little fellow no bigger than knee-high to a grasshopper. I mean, maybe if he was 6 years old, he was 100, and he was kind of standing upright, not on the seat, and you could barely see over the wheel to see out the thing. And he had a big hay wagon behind that pickup truck, and that pickup truck was loaded with hay, and he was starting the caravan. And then Daddy came on a tractor, and on the fender of that tractor was a young'un that couldn't have been 3, and behind that was Mama, and she was driving a flatbed truck full of hay. Guess they were going to put it away. Yeah, learned to drive sitting on my daddy's lap. Woo-hoo! I remember when I was a kid, sitting in front of the fireplace there, and I go, Daddy, give me a giddy-up ride. And he'd put me on my knee, and they'd go up and down and up and down and up and down. And then before he knew it, I got long a tooth and grew up and became a roustabout. You know, when the going gets rough and your pockets are empty and it's tough, you can always get a job as a roughneck or a roustabout in the oil fields of Louisiana, southern Louisiana. Oh, full of derelicts and vagabonds and roustabouts and rough